we get to know you a little bit. So we heard already about your interest in music and being a drummer and everything. But what I want to
Yeah.
know is your early life experiences, because that's always interesting. So tell us, where did you grow up? And as a kid, what were your interests?
Um, so I grew up in South Florida in Boca Raton, so outside Fort Lauderdale. I lived there until ooh, my early 20s, I think. And then I moved to Orlando because I went to school in Central Florida. And then I moved to North Jersey. The wife had gotten a job in New York City, so we were kind of counter commuting. And then I moved where I am now to outside Philadelphia, out in the suburbs, about I think 4 years ago at this point. Um, as a kid, I always knew I wanted to get into marketing and commercials. I don't know why. They're not very exciting. I think that's
But
why I wanted to get into
anybody
them.
in the family in marketing? Anybody in
No,
the family?
no.
So,
Actually, so my dad's an entrepreneur. He's owned businesses, he's run businesses, he's sold businesses. So I'm sure I got that from him. But nothing on the marketing side. No one in my family is in the marketing side for the most part. It was, I don't know why I wanted to get into it. I think because commercials were always horrible. Like I always thought they were so bad. Like when you see a really bad commercial, I'm always like, there was a group of guys who sat around a table and said, this is it, let's pay to publish this. And I'm like, why? This is horrible. So
so
I
as
think
a
I maybe
kid,
I
you
wanted to
were
rid the world of
watching,
that.
as a kid, you were watching commercials.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really? I mean,
Yeah.
usually people don't like. I mean, even your parents cared for commercials. They encourage you to watch them.
No, no, not at all. It just was interesting to me. I'm a big sports guy, obviously a big football fan here in the States. Like Super Bowl, I love the commercials. Like that's I look forward to watching the commercials of like, okay,
Really?
these are multi-million-dollar placements. What did you spend your money on? And then I get to watch it and I go, that was horrible. Like, why would you do that?
I have a question for you, Andrew. In the commercial, what is it that appeals to you, that attracts you? Is it the capability to influence somebody's decision, or is it the product? Is it the production of the commercial? What do
It,
you?
it's it's more around like the psychology of it, of like why do I remember certain commercials as a kid? Why do I not remember others? Why do certain like aspects of commercials become like comical things to make fun of over the course of the next few months? Like the goal of a commercial or really anything in marketing isn't necessarily to get you to like the product and to want to go purchase it. My goal is to get you to remember the product so when the time comes, you actually go and purchase it. The difference with digital marketing is like it's also a mix of that and like right place, right time sort of thing. But that's where you adjust your messaging, right? Like you watch a commercial, its messaging is very different from the messaging if you were in a store about to buy the product. So it's two different things. And the commercials I always thought was interesting was like, why do I remember this one? Was this entertaining? Was this, I know that they're selling a product. I know that it's obvious. It's a commercial. I was watching this show. Now I'm obviously watching this 30-second thing. I know it's a commercial. What are you going to do to capture my attention and make me interested in the product? And so when I would watch a commercial that I thought was just like, I am your target demographic and that was horrible, is where I'm always like, okay, I can do better than that. And so I thought it was always interesting. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, it was mostly from the psychology side of like, how is it working where you can convince people to do things, but also get them to remember it as time goes on.
So this is a very interesting thing, mainly because it kind of ties back to the original question: is marketing an art or a science? So because in the old days, the answer was art, of course.
Yeah.
So today it's no longer just art; it's art and
No.
science. So they came together because of the online aspect of it. But right in the foundation of it lies psychology, because it's all about psychology with everything, subliminal messages, and connecting with people's emotions and things like that. It's all about psychology. So, so as a kid, you were interested in psychology. I mean, you could have become a therapist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like even today, even in digital, like, it is nice that there's a lot of science behind it. There is reasoning behind what you're doing. Like back in the day, you watched like the old Mad Men shows. Like it was
Oh, yeah.
really about conveying a message and getting the consumer to feel a certain way based on the way that that consumer was feeling at the time, right? Like your target demographic of, let's say, women 25 to 45 when they're out shopping versus women 25 to 45 who are, excuse me to be crass, like burying their father. They're
Yeah.
feeling very different. So
Yeah.
you're not going to market their t-shirts the same way you're going to market like caskets. Like it's way different. So you've got to factor in not only who is your consumer, but how are they feeling at the time, or how do you want them to feel when they come across your product? So even this still correlates to Amazon stuff. Yeah, you could do all the keyword research you want in the world. But at the end of the day, if you're not saying the message correctly, you're not showing the correct imagery and kind of allowing the consumer to place themselves in certain areas, then it's just not going to convert as well as you want. It's something we butt heads with Amazon sellers all the time. Because as I mentioned, Amazon sellers are very, very data driven. Helium 10, Data Dive, Jungle Scout, they say this, so it's got to get written this way. You didn't use this word, this call out, and this image is this, blah, blah. This person looks like this. I'm like, okay, you've got to take a big step out of the science for a second and understand who you're speaking to and the moment and the emotions they're feeling at the time and how I want them to feel when they go to purchase. And there's no real way to measure that. It's really a feeling. And that's the art side of marketing, that getting the science and the art to work together is where some of the best marketers do their jobs.